I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Ghosty and Julpy.
I love this thing so much. I cannot tell you.
I know, he says it all the time when we're off camera. One of these times I should leave it in.
Shout out to Chris Culp. Shout out to the big homie JD.
I'm surprised you're not wearing his shirt. You basically live in it now.
Yeah, I live in Chris Culp's shirt, man. Not Chris Culp. I mean,
Jay the Spirited.
Jay the Spirited. That shirt is badass, bro. Really, really good shirt. This this an alliance pick?
Yes.
Which alliance is this? Sounds like this has got to, this is
Extreme Underground.
Really? Melodic folk black metal.
Yeah.
Joel Violet has stated that the name Thrawsunblat was David Gould's Woods of Ypres idea. All members are ex Woods of Ypres members. Woods of Ypres, I think we've done. We've done one Woods of Ypres song. So this is called the Song of the Nihilist. If you want to join an alliance, tickets at the gate start at $1, and then there are other tiers that give you a lot of goodies. We really revamped Patreon, I think, from when we first launched it, as far as the interaction, exclusive content, those types of things. They can watch you arm wrestle. They can watch you, there's a lot of things there on Patreon.
I arm wrestle. Hey, what was that other thing that I was like, I should put that up on Patreon?
I forgot.
Dang it. You guys, patrons, reach out to me and tell me what it was, because it was something you weren't too keen on me putting up.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Oh, we had that fight. It was that 18-minute fight we had before we launched?
Yeah, that's another one. I can totally put that up, but I told them I
don't want you to put that one up.
Why not?
Well, I want some of our life to be like, pretty soon. Nah, I'm not going there. All right, well, so you join Patreon, okay? And then you join an alliance, and then the alliance elects a song. And there's a black metal alliance. There's an extreme. This is not a black metal. This is the EU again.
I think that's what I said.
The main stage song is an EU song too. Those boys getting some love over there in the EU.
Extreme Underground.
Yeah, that's the second one in a row, so it's EU Day. Congratulations, EU. But this is what happens when you join an alliance. You might end up getting a whole day dedicated to your alliance.
Really happy.
Right, and then there's so many things you can do with the alliances. You can, and there's also that community within the community, because it's a smaller group of people. Really, really good stuff. Okay, this is Song of the Nihilist. Very, very interesting to listen to it. For time and topical political commentary, you can hit us up in Middle America with Vin and Sori.
Yeah, that's us.
What are you laughing
at? Nothing.
Okay.
And go.
Whoa. Good jam.
Yeah.
Good jam,
Yeah.
good jam. You could have took this straight from the book of Ecclesiastes. A lot of people don't know this, but there is at least in the first half of the book of Ecclesiastes, a strong apologetic for a nihilistic worldview.
Yep.
Which, I think the code in Ecclesiastes is under the sun.
It is.
And I think under the sun means a world, without consideration of God, just living. Because in the A&E you had multiple heavens, right? You had the third heaven, which is where God resides, and then the second heaven, which is space, and the first heaven was the sky, which was the lowest heaven. And so you were living under the sun is to live beneath the lowest heaven where God is not. That's kind of the idea, I think, of Ecclesiastes. But
interesting.
I can't really expand on that unless somebody makes a request in a Bible boogie.
It's on you, dear listener.
It's on you. But I think this is the author here. I think Damon gave us the author's name, by the way. Joel Violet. Yeah, maybe it's Joel Violet who wrote it. I don't know. Or David Gold, whoever it is. It looks like he's struggling with nihilism and found his solution to dealing with it, and so I think that's in our community, I think that this song would resonate a lot because the vast majority of the folks in our community are atheistic, and so but what's interesting was that Nietzsche kind of turned the tables in a pretty brilliant way on Christianity, which I think works very well against Christian fundamentalists, but not very well with us. And so what Nietzsche was saying is that Christianity is a type of nihilism. In the sense that if you hold to...
dispensationalism?
Right. If you hold to, we're going to go to heaven, we're going to get raptured.
Yeah.
Basically what Nietzsche was... Everything's going to go up in smoke. Nietzsche was...
going to turn to blood.
Nietzsche was saying, well, if you believe that... What?
Microphone is rolling around under my chair.
So Nietzsche was saying, well, it appears from Christianity that, you know how we say this earth is not my home, I'm just passing through, which is not really a biblical concept, because the earth is your home. Actually, and speaking of turning it, Douglas Wilson turned that into saying, heaven is not our home, we're just passing through because the end game is going to be on the earth. That's what it says in Revelation. But anyway.
Yeah. I think that kind of came from Abraham. Do you remember how he said he was wandering and
yeah.
That's where
But Nietzsche was saying, well, you Christians, you have a nihilistic view in life because nothing here really matters. Because this earth isn't your home. You're going to go off somewhere else, and that's when the real life is going to start. So that's nihilism too. And I agree with him. The issue is I don't believe that that's the message of the New Testament.
That won't work, yeah.
But I thought it was a very good switcheroo for Nietzsche. And it actually is one of the reasons I'm no longer really a fundamentalist. When people say I love your guys' version of Christianity, I don't really know how to label it. I'm evangelical, you're an evangelical, but the traditional sort of, we're gonna get zapped out of here, screw you guys, you should have listened to us, we're gonna get zapped out of here, nothing here really matters. Let's just kind of hole up in our little Christian ghetto because nothing here really matters. We're just trying to get on, we're in a bus station, we're just waiting for the bus. Well, there's no meaning to the bus station then, if this is all the earth is. So Nietzsche's point is well taken, but it's not historical Christianity. It's definitely not post-millennial Christianity. That's why I'd say a lot. I'm not an afterlife person. It's talking to Zoe.
Well, yeah, but nihilism, there's nothing after, right? Everything is just done. So that's not really completely like.
Well, if you go with just the raw idea that everything is meaningless, nihil means empty. Like annihilate, right? It's like you make something empty because you've completely eradicated it. So I get your point, but I think what Nietzsche was trying to say is that in the strictest, most literal sense, if you're talking about emptiness, the way that a lot of Christians talk about this world, juxtaposed to heaven, that this world is empty. So keep in mind, Nietzsche doesn't believe there's going to be an afterlife. So if you say that life now is empty and worthless, then it is absolutely a form of nihilism.
Okay, I see.
So,
all right, so you were saying you were talking to Zoe.
Well, I was talking to Zoe, and
That's our oldest daughter.
She was saying something, and she's like, well, will the person go to hell? And I said, don't worry about them going to hell. They're in hell right now. Don't worry about going there. Like, we got to worry about making sure that we don't have hell on earth down here or up here. Don't worry about that. You know what I mean? So, Nietzsche's point is well taken. It's a very, very interesting concept. I've been waiting for a couple of my, more strident, sharp atheist friends to make that argument. They never have. So, there you are.
Too bad for you.
I'm pretty sure they'll be able to use that with pretty good effect against like a fundamentalist Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't care about this life at all and is just worried about the afterlife. For sure. But anyway, so the nihilist, so nihilism, it looks like he's trying to go through life, and then the nihilist, comes to him along the path. The nihilist followed me. So I think it's one of those things where he's like struggling to deal with the consequences of nihilism. But good Lord.
Yeah, because he says, you've come so far only to fall to basically me at the beginning.
Right.
Yeah, wow, that's interesting, yep.
Right. You've come so far, O wanderer, which is really, really interesting because Cain, he left the presence of the Lord, so he left...
the story in Genesis with Cain and Abel.
Right.
When Cain kills his brother Abel.
Yeah, and so he then becomes a wanderer, and then he goes to the land of Nod, and Nod means wandering. So, I could just imagine Cain here, and Cain wrestling with the concept of nihilism, and you've come so far only to fall to me, and I will tell you of this world. I'm the nihilist, I'll shatter your world. And then he says, nothing lasts forever but the hope that it would. Nothing you endeavor ever shines like it should. Look into the mirror, look to the dawn. All you will see will one day be gone. And so the nihilist is presenting this real, kind of in his mind, solid argument for why the protagonist should be like him.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of wrestling with that, but the way that he sang it was really, really beautiful. I'm really kind of amazed at how a genre can metamorphose, and this is black metal, so I'm expecting just a lot of tremolo and bad production, but this was very, very, very good production, and vocally, I really felt like they were trying to make that coarse melodic, which I believe that they accomplished it. I mean, it wasn't like... Grammy level hitting the keys perfectly, but it was definitely an attempt to be melodic, and I think it worked in the song.
Did you picture anything? Like what sort of a scene they were in?
I was just thinking about Cain.
Oh, okay.
I just had Cain. He was sitting on a rock, and there's a good side of him and a bad side of him, and they're arguing.
Okay. I saw a wanderer, and he was like up on the side of a mountain, and it was like cold, and the wind was blowing, and it was snow and stuff. And then, especially, nothing lasts forever, but the hope that it would.
Is every step not a mountain? That's such a good line.
I know.
How did you interpret it?
Well, at first I thought he was saying, is every step not a mountain? Like, every step, like, everything that you do is so exhausting in this life. Like, everything is like climbing a mountain. You take one step and it's a mountain's worth of work. But then I wasn't sure if he was saying something else, because then he said, where did he say that? Further down. But I slid off. Like mountain snow.
I felt that it came his words, but it slid off like mountain snow.
Yeah, I thought he said something else about the mountain, but I guess not.
Well, at the end of the mountain, he's right. If every step is a mountain, enjoy the view.
Yeah.
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 This is where he turns it around.
Yep.
He's turning around on the nihilist and saying...
So he is saying every step is a mountain in a negative way, and then he flips it on him and says,
right.
I can enjoy the view.
It's the black metal version of turning lemonades into lemons, right? I mean, lemons into... Lemonade.
I did that in the last video.
I know people that turn lemonades into lemons. That's for sure.
Yes.
Miserable as hell.
Yes.
So then he says, listen to me, O nihilist, I'll tell you what I've seen of this earth. And then he talks about, okay, if, we only have a short time and then we're going to fade into nothingness, and then make the most of it, then.
Yeah.
And if I have to labor in life, then enjoy the view of what you accomplish.
Yeah.
And I think, it's a very, look, on a technical, philosophical level, none of this solves the problem of nihilism. From an atheist perspective. Nietzsche struggled with it, Bertrand Russell struggled with it. They were not technically nihilists. I mean, we've got a person in the village who's a nihilist, and I'm in the back burner writing a letter to this individual. But it technically, on a technical level, if you think about philosophy, what this guy's doing does not solve the problem. Because what he's saying is, I know that none of these relationships are really valuable, but since they're finite, he's saying they're not objectively valuable, but you can subjectively make it valuable to you. And at the popular level, which is where we live, at the popular level, that's good enough to solve the nihilism problem. Obviously, at the philosophical level, it's not, because a philosopher is going to say, well, that's just a fiction. Like, you just poured that meaning into that person and declared arbitrarily that their life is somehow meaningful, even though you know full well that there was no purpose for this person being on the earth, and you cannot derive meaning from anything without a purpose.
Right.
So the meaning of a hammer has to do with its purpose. The value of a hammer is directly connected to the fact that it's there for a purpose, and that somebody made it and put it in the situation it's in. So a technical philosopher is going to say there's no way for you to, on a technical level, say that your life is meaningful when you agree at the beginning that you were not here for a purpose.
Yeah.
So on the scholarly level, this doesn't work.
Yep.
But people don't function on the scholarly level. People function on this level, and I think this is where you and I function. I think this is a pretty good way to look at it. It's like, hey, nothing lasts forever, so freaking enjoy it while you have it.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the same thing that the author of Ecclesiastes say.
What does it say? Eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die.
It's a very, very, very interesting passage. But what were you going to say about? Did you catch the turn in the song where the guy starts fighting back against nihilism?
Yeah, it seemed to me like he was just like, well, I don't want to take that. I don't want to accept that. I mean, I want to have something. So yeah, I felt like he kind of took a turn with it. Not that it probably completely satisfied him, and we've talked about that before. We've said, if you take a nihilist standpoint, you could say, well, nothing in this life matters, so then it doesn't really matter what I do. Or if you say that there is nothing after this life, then you could say this life has the most value of everything because it's all we have.
Right.
So I think at that point kind of depends on what type of nihilist are you. Are you the type that wants to say, hey, today is all I have and I'm going to live it to the fullest? Or are you the type of person that says, well, it sucks, everything sucks, and this is miserable because there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to spend my life like that, even if there was no life after this one. I mean, I firmly believe that there is, and I believe what Jesus said, but even if I didn't, I would want to be the type that would say, you know what, I'm just going to eat, drink, and be merry because I want to have a good, fun time. I don't want to just live this life in misery and then go and...
What I'm about to read you is actually in the Bible. Enjoy life with the wife whom you love all the days of your vain life that he has given you under the sun, because that is your portion in life and in your toil at which you toil under the sun.
Yeah, but wait. No, we gotta read the NIV. People are gonna be able to hold it better.
Okay.
Enjoy life with your wife whom you love, all the days of this meaningless life that God has given you under the sun, all your meaningless days. For this is your lot in life, and in your toilsome labor under the sun. Meaningless life, your meaningless days.
So get yourself a girl and just enjoy it, fam.
Enjoy life.
Enjoy it, fam. Oh, it's all meaningless. I mean, I think people would be surprised that that's actually in the Bible.
Wait, what?
Yeah, like
maybe we're all Christians.
If a black metal band was really, really smart, they would do an entire record on
this.
There's
so much. Yeah.
Batushka did it with the liturgy stuff, but this right here. There's like 19 Batushka bands now, but there's only one real Batushka. Everybody knows that. But this was really, really crazy if you think about it from a biblical perspective. But it was really cool to see the guy, because at the beginning I was like, oh Lord, I know exactly where this is gonna go. Song of the Nihilist, here we go. But he actually turned it over on the guy, and then boom, he was able to eke out some meaning here, and I think he won that fight, at least in this song.
He said there was a part where he talked about right there what little time there is to exist, what vibrant life burns in those around us.
Right.
I like that.
Right, which is just enjoy it. Why look at the end? And that's where the whole idea of saying there's a destination and then there's a journey, right? And this is very, very applicable about life if you believe that this is all that there is to it, which would then be the end, right? So you've got to say, nah, man, it's the journey. It's not so much the destination.
Yeah.
Whereas for us, you know, our self-understanding is that we are agents of the redemption of the world, and that, you know, we have very, very important things to do on this planet for this time, and then we're going to go to be with God, and then we're going to come back here in resurrected bodies, and we're going to go in my mind, and I think I can make a very solid case about that if we ever do have it in the Bible book. In my mind, we're going to be exploring in the universe, very much like what we're doing now. So all those calculations about NASA and all the rest of it, I think are still going to be in play.
But this time we're actually going to make it to the moon. I'm sorry, babe, I had to do that.
That was very good. Very good.
I thought you were going to say, why did you have to put that in there?
She homeschools the kids as well. So there's that.
There's that. But I do believe the Earth is round.
That's good. There's a lot of flat earthers that believe the Earth is round too. They just think it's flat, but it's a disc.
Yeah, like a frisbee.
It's still round.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah. La ilaha illallah. Okay, so I thought that this was a really, really, really good song, and a really, you know, if you've got a friend who's struggling with nihilistic thoughts or maybe depression, I love it because it's a very empowering song, but it's also a very honest song.
Yep.
And that doesn't delve into self-pity. And it's extremely difficult to be honest in a song about bad feelings without sounding like you're just having a pity party for yourself. So I give the homie a lot of credit for that. What do you give the song?
Wait, I just have to read this part too. If nothing lasts forever, we are roaring stars. All that we have endeavor is all of who we are. Life is churning chaos. Life is a roaring fire. I love that because I'm like, if you think about it, like if that's what we are, and then you put the star idea in there, because stars don't last forever and then they burn out, but like you're a raging star for when you're here, and like I just thought it was a cool way to look at it. Like obviously I believe that we become more of a raging star, if you want to put it in those words, after we die. But
well, I think after the resurrection.
Yeah.
I can say, but not after we die. But
no, that's
you know, we actually have a demotion when we die in biblical cosmology, but that's a different story. But yeah, we are a roaring star, which is also interesting because a nihilist, I've heard nihilists say, we're just stardust. And this guy goes, we're stardust. See, you know, we did this drill in English where she would tell us to emphasize.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So,
So it's like, we are stardust.
We're stardust.
Right? We are stardust.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that, you know.
Yeah.
That's it all depends on how you look at it.
Yep.
You know. So I thought it was a really, really well done song. What do you give it?
I do.
And of course,
it's right up there for me,
all that we endeavor is all of who we are. Obviously, I do not agree with that.
No.
But what he's saying is, you have to shift the value system for your endeavors. So if you look at if you're just, because he's saying in the chorus, what he's doing is he's answering what the nihilist said in the chorus. Nothing you endeavor ever shines like it should. What he's saying is, yeah, but it's it's all of who I am. So I'm assigning value to that about my endeavors relationship to me, which of course works if you're a rock star. It does not work if you're a construction worker who's fallen 50 feet down, broken his back, and is no longer able to construct anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So in our minds, we would say, all of who we are image bearers of God, which cannot be taken from us no matter what the scenario is. And then when we create something and when we work something, it is always not going to be what we envision because we're not God. But at the same time, you can take great joy in an excellent job because God did. He created something and goes, that's good. And so, you know, that's kind of, you know, how I would answer that. But at the same time, like, again, even if it's not a Christian worldview, he's still finding ways to flip the problems of life without God into something positive. And you gotta tip your hat to the guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I think this song has probably saved a couple lives, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would think so. I'm a little distracted because I keep seeing this. Remember that preacher that did Indescribable? Who's that?
Louis Giglio.
Louis Giglio, right.
Yeah.
So like the way that he words things, sometimes you're like, yes! I just liked it. And so when I was hearing this, like in my mind, like I can hear like that, like you said, like what you just said, like the nihilist is saying we're just stardust. And then if that's literally what we were, you know, like you have the nihilist saying that, and then you have the pastor who's preaching with all the fire in his soul, and he's like, then if we're stardust, then we're raging, roaring stars, set out in the universe for the glory of our God, you know what I mean? Like, it just has like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like hearing that, like when it was going on, I was like, oh my word, this is so good. Like, I just like the way that he worded that. And then, you know, the other thing was what you were saying, you know, like I was talking to our son the other day, and he really, really wants to do everything perfectly so that way he can be the perfect son, you know, and we're like, every single person is a sinner, like we know that, we know you're not going to be perfect, and we don't expect you to be perfect. He's like, but I want to be. And then, you know, I took his face in my hands, I said, honey, you have got to understand where your value comes from, because if tomorrow you're a paraplegic and you cannot do another good thing in this house, you need to understand how valuable you are, you know. And I was talking to him about how God gives us value. He made us, and that's where our value comes from and stuff. And like, I love having those moments with our kids where we can give them something real and something that is weighty. And it was just like, you know, we had a conversation with that kid. We had this dog a while back, and the dog bit the kid in the neighborhood. Well, she was antagonizing him, I don't know, but anyway. And then like, you were out there talking to her, and you were telling her like that she had value because she was made in God's image and stuff like that. Like, that conversation was... Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, that was the last straw for the dog. He was going to have to go after that. I mean, it was a little, like, dog was literally this big, and she was antagonizing, bitter, and the kids were, they, you know, I mean, if they would have taken care of the dog, you know, as they should, then I would have dealt with the fallout, but they weren't, and so, you know, but yeah, I remember, and she basically said, she was like, well, you know, I'm really sorry that you're going to have to lose your dog, and I said, sweetheart, you're in the image of God. You're worth all the dogs in the world times a million.
Right. That's what you said.
Right? You're in the image of God. And so she kind of, you know, that was one of the things that always blows me away is that concept. I remember, you know, we were in the area where we were, you know, trying to love people and these down and out street people. One guy smelled like, I mean, he beat on himself every day. He just did. You know, he just couldn't take care of himself. He just wouldn't. And, you know, the surrounding community has all the judgments for these people who they don't even know. And, you know, they're beggars, they're drug dealers, they're sex workers, they're pimps, they're, you know, what, fill in the blank. We've got them all here. And I never really was able to get over that spark that you see in people's eyes when you tell them, you know, you represent God on the earth, and it has nothing to do with whether or not you're high. It has nothing to do with whether or not you have no money or whatever. And it changed a lot of things for a lot of people. Just that one idea.
Well, I mean, you saw a lot of times how people would look at them. You know what I mean? Like if you were sitting with them, or, you know, there was a time where I was out for a walk and I saw this girl standing on the side of the road. She was holding a sign to collect money, and I stopped to talk with her to see, you know, like what was her situation, and, you know, see if I could find out other ways to help her. But anyway, when I was standing there talking to her, like people were driving by and looking at me like I was just worthless. I couldn't believe the looks that I was getting. I was like, I've never had people look at me like that. That's crazy. And so you got to understand that these people are looked at like they're just
completely less
valueless.
I mean, they die of overdoses, and you know, our local paper has a Facebook page, and the comments under it are
good.
Absolutely,
they're glad.
It's monstrous.
Yeah.
It's absolutely terrible.
One last.
And it's like they don't even think like that guy's family member. A lot of us find out about life now through social media, not the news. So can, you know,
to scroll under that.
And then the worst part is like seeing a family member saying, "Hey, I just found out about this. Thank you guys for saying that my first cousin was worthless and deserved to die," and you know, just brutal, heartbreaking stuff.
For me, like I always, when there's situations like that, like I think of them as like children or babies. Like when I look at Orion sometimes I'm like, what, you know, Orion could grow up. He's just 6 months old right now. I'm like, he could grow up and he could be literally anyone or anything, you know what I mean? Like he could be really, really good for this world and bless lots of people, or he could just be really, really bad and get into so much trouble, and like I still want good for him because he's my son, you know?
Right.
And I'm like, all the bad people or all the people that have done terrible things in the world, like really terrible things, like they've all been somebody's son or somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
And like to think that they were once a baby that was carried around and then now they're in the situation, it's just, you know, I don't know, it's just sad.
Yeah, it weighs on the soul for sure. That's the biggest. Yeah, it's so funny, like you know, when people try to treat Genesis like a science book. You know, and we talked about this, you know, and I said, you know, God is not concerned about whether or not we understand the machinations of, you know, chemistry or whatever. It's how do you treat that person across from you?
Yeah.
I said, you know, God might have written a science book if we were able to figure out Genesis 1:26, you know. Like, why did the omniscient God tell us about the scientific method? You know, Aaron Rosny. It's like, because we keep killing each other. That's why. Because of articles like that, when people keep saying that, you know, a person's life is meaningless because they were not able to contribute to society. That's why. These are real basic ground level stuff, and God's like, okay, I will hook you up with the curious stuff later. How about we just, you know, make sure we understand that nobody's better than anybody else and everybody represents me in their own way. Yep. How about we do that first?
Yep.
And it's been, you know, however million trillion years you want to say it's been, and we still haven't figured it out. So anyway, but I think this guy presents a very, very sharp alternative to, you know, falling into nihilism from an atheist perspective or whatever. I thought he did a really good job. What did you give it?
I think it's a 9.8. It might even be a 10 because I think it's kind of a shoot. 9.8. What are you doing?
I think it's a 10. The raw score is a 9.8, but I do believe that the uniqueness of it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we've heard so many songs about nihilism, start to finish.
Yeah.
The uniqueness of this song lies in the fact that he fights against it, and he actually mounts a logical, philosophical counter argument to music that did not come across as very corny.
Yep.
Which is very difficult to do. Ask 80s Christian rock or 80s Christian rap, where they had this real deep message, but they packaged it in the corniest way possible. Yeah. You know, but they did a very, very good job here of mounting that philosophical argument without getting too heady or without getting too cringy. So for that, it's a 10 for me. Yep.
Look at 9. How do you say that first word?
Borea, Pyre of 1,000 Pine.
I just like the sound of that. Pyre of 1,000 Pine.
There you go.
All right. Well, sorry. 10 it is. 10 it is across the board for both of us.
All right. There you are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
I will tell you what I have seen of this earth.